Rising from the earth, this colossal red sandstone citadel is India's legendary Red Fort. Positioned along the Yamuna River, it redefined the heart of Delhi, India's historic capital. Commenced nearly 4 centuries ago in 1638, its creation spanned a decade of intense labor. Emperor Shah Jahan commissioned this masterpiece to serve as the seat of Mughal imperial power. How did architects build an unbreakable fortress that doubled as a paradise on earth? Historians believe the site preparation required leveling massive tracts of uneven terrain. Engineers used intricate measuring cords to outline the fortress's unique octagonal shape. Deep foundational trenches were dug to support the immense weight of the future stone walls. Thousands of bullock carts transported raw materials from nearby riverbeds to the site. A specialized lime mortar mix provided a flexible yet incredibly durable base for the fort. Historians note that massive embankments were built early on to protect against river floods. Compacting the soil was essential to ensure the monumental structures would never shift. Gradually, the subsurface skeletal framework of the royal palace complex began to emerge. Strong, rough-hewn rubble masonry formed the hidden core beneath the red sandstone veneer. Concurrently, a wide defensive moat was carved out to completely encircle the fortress. Mughal architects maintained strict symmetrical alignment from the very first layer of stone. Flocks of river rafts transported premium red sandstone from the quarries of Tantpur. Historians believe unloading these monumental blocks required intricate rope and pulley systems. With foundations secure, the first iconic red sandstone blocks were laid above ground. An organized army of specialized stonemasons worked in shifts to process incoming materials. On-site blacksmiths continuously forged and sharpened iron tools to maintain building speed. The massive defensive moat was carefully lined with stone to ensure structural integrity. Historians believe the foundations of the main gateways were reinforced more than any other part. Organic additives like molasses and pulses were mixed into mortar to increase its binding strength. By the close of the initial phase, an unbroken stone footprint covered the imperial grounds. As the foundations settled, the massive red sandstone walls began their slow upward journey. Intricate wooden scaffolding systems rose in tandem with the fortress's growing height. Engineers constructed long, inclined dirt ramps to haul the heaviest stones to the top. Every facing stone was meticulously squared and smoothed to ensure a seamless, tight fit. The walls consisted of 2 sandstone veneers, sandwiching a solid core of rubble masonry. And month by month, the imposing perimeter walls grew to form an impenetrable stone barrier. Iron clamps fixed with molten lead-bound critical structural stones against earthquakes. The grand public entrance, the Lahori Gate, began to signal the fort's true majesty. Artisans carved hundreds of protective battlements to align the uppermost ridge of the walls. While the exterior walls were red, pure white marble arrived for the private imperial palaces. The internal structures began to shift from rugged defense to elegant royal opulence. Elegant engravers carved the signature multi-foliated arches that defined Mughal architecture. Architects mapped a sophisticated network of channels to feed water throughout the complex. An ingenious water system drew fresh currents directly from the adjacent Yamuna River. Known as the Stream of Paradise, this system cooled the royal pavilions during intense summers. The classic four-quadrant garden layout was introduced to symbolize the gardens of heaven. Master craftsmen applied intricate pietra dura stone inlays into the smooth marble panels. Interior ceilings were painted with vivid floral motifs using crushed semi-precious gems. The vast hall of public audience was erected to host thousands of imperial subjects. The emperor's raised seat was designed to project absolute divine authority over the court. The palace interiors glowed with mirrored glass inserts, earning it the name Palace of Color. Finishing touches included extensive gilding to showcase the absolute wealth of the empire. Delicate pearlescent domes were added to complete the religious centers within the fort. By 1648, the private residential quarters stood as the pinnacle of global luxury. After a decade of construction, Shah Jahan's magnificent imperial dream was fully realized. In April 1648, the royal court officially entered the fort, inaugurating the new capital. The monumental gates swung wide, welcoming merchants and foreign dignitaries to the imperial heart. This unique vaulted market catered exclusively to the refined tastes of the royal household. Within the hall of public audience, the emperor held daily court, addressing common grievances. The legendary, jewel-encrusted peacock throne sat at the center of absolute imperial luxury. The empire reached its absolute cultural and architectural zenith within these very walls. An inscription boldly declared, "If there is a paradise on earth, it is here. It is here." Yet, dark clouds soon gathered over the empire as internal rivalries threatened stability. A brutal war of succession broke out among Shah Jahan's ambitious, feuding sons. A brutal war of succession broke out among Shah Jahan's ambitious, feuding sons. He also fortified the grand entrances, building heavy curtain walls to protect the gates. As the court moved south to manage distant wars, the majestic fort lay semi-abandoned. The golden age of stability ended, leaving the fortress vulnerable to foreign ambitions. His forces thoroughly plundered the palace, stripping the legendary peacock throne away forever. Precious gold, silver, and intricate wall gems were ruthlessly looted from the pavilions. Decades of chaos followed as various regional powers fought to control the fort. To fund continuous military campaigns, even the solid silver ceilings were completely melted down. By the dawn of the 9th or 10th century, the fort was a shadow of its former glory. The final Mughal emperor ruled over little more than the perimeter of the fort itself. In 1857, the fortress became the focal point of a massive national uprising. Rebel forces rallied around the old emperor, declaring the fort the heart of independence. But the imperial dream was destined for a final, violent clash with a new global empire. Artisans meticulously assembled the signature bulbous domes that crowned the royal pavilions. Every defensive feature was carefully reinforced to withstand prolonged artillery sieges. Heavy brass plating added both immense strength and artistic beauty to the main portals. The continuous water flow required precise gravity-fed channels lining the upper walls. Underfloor hypercaust heating systems provided warm water to the luxurious imperial hammams. The iconic silhouette of the Red Fort finally began to dominate the skyline of Delhi. Delicate calligraphic accents highlighted the seamless blend of Persian and Indian art. Securing the southern entrances ensured total defensive control over imperial transit routes. Intricate marble lattice screens provided privacy while letting cool river breezes pass. Paving the great courtyards marked the transition from heavy construction to completion. Lotus motifs adorned the central fountains, symbolizing purity within the royal grounds. The majestic marble canopy stood finalized, ready to host the absolute monarch. The riverside frontage offered a serene, beautiful view, masking the fort's military power. Polishing the pure white stone revealed the deep, brilliant luster of the royal halls. The operational drawbridges marked the absolute final stage of defensive readiness. Standing completely free of constraints, the Grand Gateway welcomed the empire. Preparations began immediately for the grand inaugural court of the new capital. The peak of the fortress stood complete, a permanent beacon of imperial rule. After 10 intense years, the monumental architectural marvel stood fully realized. By balancing rugged stone defense with pure marble luxury, the architects answered the call, and they channeled the massive Yamuna River to breathe cooling life throughout the fortress. They channeled the massive Yamuna River to breathe cooling life throughout the fortress. Though its raw treasures faded, the unbreakable geometric footprint endured across centuries. Though its raw treasures faded, the unbreakable geometric footprint endured across centuries. This red sandstone sanctuary successfully mirrored the timeless beauty of paradise on earth. This red sandstone sanctuary successfully mirrored the timeless beauty of paradise on earth. Shah Jahan's grand architectural masterpiece remains the eternal symbol of India's sovereign pride. Shah Jahan's grand architectural masterpiece remains the eternal symbol of India's sovereign pride.